Don't mess with B-double-O-Z-E, 'cause that spells booze, and you're gonna lose with Mr. Booze. Oh, yeah. Don't mess around with Mr. Booze.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the APAT show. Tonight's guest, Danny Lamin, has amassed close to 400k in live MTT winnings, while looking barely old enough to enter a casino. So Danny will take us on his journey from local card room to final tabling at the World Series of Poker. He will also be analysing play in tonight's APAT games on Party Poker. So stick with us, guys, and Danny and Leigh will join in exactly 30 seconds. So hey everyone, and welcome to Thursday night here on the APAT show. So Leigh, who is this whipper-snapper we've got on the show tonight?
Well, yeah, we're on our second lambing of the week. This is pretty good going, isn't it, to say the least? Yes, so as we mentioned, with so massive live earnings, over 350,000 of live earnings. Interesting fact, if you look through his Hendon mob, is Danny has cashed at the World Series of Poker every year since 2012, apart from last year. So welcome to the show, wow. Danny Lamin. What happened last year, mate?
Hi everyone, thanks for having me on first of all.
Oh, welcome, Danny.
Yeah, last year I didn't go. So
there you go.
That'd be the reason why I should imagine.
Is that a good enough excuse, Leigh? I didn't go. Is that good enough?
Well, I mean, I didn't go because I just had my first child.
You've had a baby.
Yeah, that's a good enough reason.
That's a good enough reason.
That's
Boom.
a good reason. Yeah,
but it's literally peak time World Series schedule, and yeah, so she was born 14th of June, so birthday on Sunday. So I couldn't make it out last year, but I mean, hoping next year.
Yeah.
So it'll be a 2-year break, won't it? Because obviously, what do you think? I mean, there might be something in the autumn. We never know.
Yeah, you don't know. You just have to wait and see. Really, pretty much of everything in the world at the minute. Just see what happens.
It's a crazy time, right? So how was the year been with a little one, a baby?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. It's the best thing ever. So I mean, it's just been such a great experience and tiring for sure.
Of course, yeah.
A man who, I've enjoyed my sleep over the years, and you realise
you grow up quickly, don't you?
Yeah. So, but yeah, overall, it's just the best thing ever, really.
Yeah, no, that's really great to hear, Danny. And tell me, are you guys like a really cozy unit during lockdown? Have you sort of just been the three of you in a room, sort of thing?
Yeah, no, it's been good. I mean, as good as lockdown can be, really.
Yeah.
Lockdown's 3 months now.
Oh, it's like, yeah, the days are beginning to merge now. It just all feels like it's only ever been locked down. That's what it feels like.
I know, and so I pretty much as soon as lockdown started, I said to my partner, like, I'm just going to shave my head off, and so we've done that, and now it's finally back to where it should be.
I tell you what, and listen, we're going to come back to this, but I wish I had that picture for your intro, right? That shaved head picture. That's what we need. But listen, Danny, there's a bunch of people. Leigh, you might have to do this bit for me. I've just lost my blooming monitor screen. There's a bunch of people in the chat box who will have joined us to listen into tonight's show. Leigh, could you help?
Yeah, of course I can help. There's a certain young Mr. Glenn Lamming first up in the chat box. Even to you, Glenn. Asa McGrath's in. Steve Forty's in. Joe Chilmade and Christopher King's also in. He's had a good couple of weeks playing the squads. Pete Wigglesworth is in tonight. Asa McGrath says evening all. Steve Forty says hello, Des and Leigh, and I'm sure he means Daddy as well. Steve Bailiff and Tristan Chaplin. Tristan says oi oi. Marion's in. Billy Piper says oi oi as well. Rich Baker's in. Ed Nyaksu. David Blacklaw, hello to you. Shane Elliott, Dave Morris, and a few evenings all from Richard, Glenn, and Chris. So plenty of people on the stream tonight.
Fantastic. Can I say, I like that. Triplin. Triplin. I like that. Tristan Chaplin. Can we call him Triplin from here on in?
We could get away with that, actually.
We could get away with that. I'm sure he's been called worse. I know I have. That's for sure. So just talking to Glenn, guys, and Glenn's going to be sort of analysing some of your poker players.
Is he? Really?
Glenn's not, is he? We're speaking to Danny. We're speaking to Danny. I'm looking at the blooming screen, which is back in front of me now, and there's Glenn saying evening, and it's in a very big Mr. Booze style. So that's all I can see at the moment. So Danny's going to be looking at your play throughout the evening. So what tourneys have we got on, Lee? What are we going to be covering tonight?
Right then, so it's Thursday night, which means we've got or have had running the stud event, which is only available on Windows Download. That's got 47 runners in that. We focused on that quite a lot last week with Adam, so we'll keep an eye on that as it plays and give you an update. But obviously, we're going to focus on tonight the Poker Squad's Thursday night mix max. 159 runners in that. It's currently got 50 remaining. They've got another 3 levels of 6 max before they'll go 4-handed for the rest of the tournament. And we'll also keep an eye on the Sunday roller feeder that started at 9 o'clock. That had 29 runners. It's got 14 left. Crazy stat. I put it up earlier on today, Des. I don't know whether you saw it, but the Sunday roller current average stack for Sunday
27,000
is like 27,000.
Wow.
And you can buy in for 50,000. Normally it's up around the 48, 50,000. Don't know what they've all gone to Knitsville this week for some reason, and they're all trying to scrape in with low stacks. But that obviously means for anyone that can build a decent stack, you can have a nice advantage on Sunday. So.
Well, I tell you what, I think I'm going to buy in for that on Sunday, Lee. I'm thinking, 100,000 chips. If you can get me in for a tenner, can you get me in for a tenner, Lee?
We could probably do you a deal.
Could you have a word with somebody?
Yeah,
you know the people. You know the people, don't you?
Well, we can pull the strings.
Give me 100,000 chips for a tenner, and I'm in, Lee. I'm going to play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, Danny, you're a London lad, right?
Yep, South London.
South London. You're a big Millwall fan.
Yes. That's
Come on,
correct,
the Lions.
Yeah.
So you must be pretty sort of excited as for football coming back and stuff like that. I mean, when does the championship start?
I think it's I haven't looked properly, but I'm guessing 10 days, 2 weeks, maybe before that. But I'm not 100% sure myself.
Right, because believe it or not, this day next week we'll have already had a couple of games in the Premier League, which is super exciting.
It's amazing,
I have to say.
Yeah.
Nice to see it coming back. And your boys, the mighty Millwall, are only a couple of points out of the playoff places, so you've got a decent chance.
We're 8th, I believe, and I've looked at the table yesterday, and pretty much it's the running for the playoffs. I mean, everyone's on 50 points, 51, 52. I think we're on 53. I mean, it's anyone's really, but we've got a good chance, so
everything to play for. So
exactly, yeah.
That would be, if you manage to get through a playoff, that would be the biggest thing you've ever seen from Millwall, right?
Oh well, we made
You've been to cup finals.
Yeah, and we also made, I think it was Division 1 at the time, before it went to the Championship, the playoffs semi-final, which we lost to Birmingham. I think that was, I'm not sure what year that was, 2000 and something, early 2000s. So I've seen it once before, but we didn't make the final that time. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, it would absolutely be huge. You'll be bathing. Your boys will be bathing in money. You'll be able to buy big names like Lee Carsley and Alan Shearer. And I don't think they'll spend the money if they come up, Danny. I don't think they'll spend the money. They'll bank that straight away. Dividends.
Would,
Dividends. Do you go to the den at all, the new den?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I was going home and away pretty much for years really.
Yeah.
And me, my brother, and my mates, we followed it like I said, pretty much every week. And just like the last year or so, with having the baby and everything, just took up most of my time really. So try and go as much as possible now, which is still quite a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Go. So guys, we had a little issue with the stream there. Hopefully. You will get a notification that the stream has restarted. It's in a different place, effectively, so it's still in the page, of course. But in fact, Lee, as I'm doing this intro, if you can find that live stream that's just started,
I'm on it. Don't worry,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm on it.
Yeah, so we're here with Danny Lamin. He's just told me how I might be under some threat if I went to Millwall with my Liverpool kits on, but I'm sure that wouldn't be the case.
No,
it's not the
sure.
1980s anymore, and I'm not supporting Leeds, right? So
pretty much.
I mean, Danny, is there anyone that actually Millwall gets on with?
Probably not, to be honest.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. What are you going to do if you get into the Premier League? I mean, you're probably going to be the most unpopular sort of club because you won't have a welcome for anyone.
The first thing, if we go into the Premier League, is I would get a babysitter for the weekend. And kindly say to my missus that I won't be back till Monday morning. And then, yeah, take it from there, really.
Oh, you're dreaming, my friend. What is your better half's name?
Samantha.
Samantha, and your baby's a little boy or a little girl?
Little girl, Polly.
Well, it doesn't matter because, one way or another, Polly, you say?
Yes, Polly.
Yeah, Polly's going to be going to the new den with you, right? It's just a question of when.
Just when, yeah.
So, if you do get into the Premier League and if the club don't spend the money, which makes it harder to stay up, you're going to have to bring her like pretty darn quickly. She might be the youngest season ticket holder at Millwall in the Premier League, should that happen. So there we go. Steve 40 is definitely back with us, and he says, please, Des, wear your Liverpool kit to Millwall. Steve is a rabid Man United fan, so he would do anything to see the league just void it at the moment. That would be the way to go.
So, Danny, do you know what the Championship are planning on doing? Obviously, the Premiership have pretty much said, right, we're going to get every game live in one way or another for people. I mean, what will they do with the Championship? Will they look to do a similar thing, or is it just a case that they'll get played behind closed doors? Because obviously League One and League Two have all agreed
they've finished League One and League Two. I'm not 100% sure what the Championship are doing. I haven't looked into it, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
Didn't they recently do a thing where they streamed everything for individual clubs?
Yeah,
I saw that. Yeah,
I think going forward, that's what they're going to do for the rest of the season. I think I was reading something the other day where season ticket holders will be able to watch it for free. But I think it might be something like £5, £7 a game. So I'm not 100% sure, but I mean there'll be ways to watch it.
Yeah. We just have to. We'll have to wait and see. So listen, we had Glenn on, and he was massively popular, long time APAT player. We had him on Sunday night. It was Sunday night, wasn't it, Lee? Saturday. It was on the weekend. It was definitely a weekend night. Yeah. It was a party night for sure. So just talk me through the family link and mum and dad and all of that stuff, and just give me a bit of background to the Lamins.
Yeah. So we got Glenn is my dad's brother. So my dad's
your uncle.
Dad. Yeah, and we've got two brothers, one older, Joe, and younger brother Charlie. Still got my two nans are alive, and my granddad on my dad's side is still alive. So
wow.
Yeah, still going strong. And my brother Joe's also expecting his first child in August. Can't remember the date, but yeah, mid-August he's expecting his first. So family's growing, definitely growing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean that's a good thing, right? And have you guys always been based in South London? Your neck of the family. Fantastic. And tell me, where did you find the poker link? I mean, was it Glenn or was there poker elsewhere?
Pretty much. I remember one day being at Glenn's house when I was like a teenager, and I think he was playing online. I'm not sure. Could be wrong. And basically just I was like attracted to it. Basically, I was like, oh, this looks pretty good. I mean, even at a young age, but yeah, just taking it from there really. And then obviously watching some of the TV programs, and yeah, just fell in love with it straight away. Like I say, even at, I think I might have been like 14, something like that. And just loved it basically. Just like started reading a few books. I mean, when I should have been doing my homework, but just from there really.
Listen, I don't know if you heard my little intro where I said you were final tabling in Vegas when you were barely old enough, it seemed, to enter a casino. So let's just nail down your age. What age are you at the moment?
I'm 29 currently.
29. Okay, you don't look 29. You look younger. That's a good thing. That'll be good when you hit your 40s. I can guarantee that. So you were pretty young. It was like what, 6-7 years ago when you first started to get some big results.
Yeah, 2014, I think it was when I had a good year. So 6 years ago.
Yeah, and
23. Yeah.
And how did you handle sort of getting that sort of cash coming in and being in Vegas and just becoming part of that whole party, Brit lads sort of drinking from their shoes and stuff like that? How did you handle that?
I don't know really. It was I think the best way to explain it is that I always knew that I would do something in the game, if that makes sense. So yeah. Someone asked me this before, and I used to say, like, obviously, like when you have a big win, it's so nice to actually like see some benefits from the game, when you're grinding and putting the hard work in. But I just used to love playing poker so much that like the money was like next. You know what I mean? I just wanted to play. And then when you like you said, when you have that a year like I had, it was like, this is what it feels like. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a nice feeling, and it felt like you'd finally been rewarded, I think is the right word. So, yeah, I mean, it was nice, like I say, but I mean, for me, I was like, thought, yeah, this is amazing and whatnot, but I was still in that frame of mind where I was like, right, what's on next? You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah. Was a massive. Sorry, Lee, go ahead.
Danny. So I'm curious. So I was just looking at your Hendon-Mob. So I'm just working back on ages now. So your first cash was the 15th of May 2009.
Yeah,
Dusk Till Dawn. So you can't have been much past 18.
I turned 18 on the 14th of May.
I was a good guess then. That was not bad at all. To say this. So you finished second in that tournament. So that was that your first live?
That was my first live tournament. Yeah,
and you finished second in a £75 buy-in event at Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know. So what did you think then? Just went, this is easy. I can do this. Yeah, this is not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I just previously said. I just love playing. Even then, back then, I was just like that. With me and my brother Joe and Glenn and my dad went up to Dusk Till Dawn for the weekend and for my birthday basically, and
they went to Dusk Till Dawn for your birthday. I love it.
That's great. That's a great family.
Yeah. So yeah, we made a weekend out of it, and then come second in the tournament. But like I said, Joe, like everything was just about playing. That's all I wanted to do. Like everything else in my life pretty much comes second. I just wanted to play poker. That was it.
So where did you do your learning between like ages 12, 13 and 18 when you suddenly cashed?
I just used to I would say when I was like 15, 16, I remember I just used to load up like Poker Stars and just watch all the good players.
Yeah.
So I knew like who the good players were at the time, and I think from memory, I used to watch Moorman and Lawrence Houghton like pretty much every other day. Just pull up their tables and just watch them, what they was doing basically. But I didn't know about training videos, nothing like that. I just used to watch them players and like be like, right, this is what they're doing, and just watching because I knew they was like winning basically everything at the time, So
has that continued to be your best style of learning, Danny, or do you find you just got a natural aptitude for the game?
Yeah, I mean a lot of mine is like I think what makes good players as well is like having a good natural instinct as well.
Yeah.
For knowing situations, and if you've been in situations so many times, then everything kind of becomes second gear, So you just right, I've been here before, like this is what you do in these spots and that spots, and it also helps talking with players as well. That's what I find helps.
Yeah. Who are your mates in particular? Who back then, particularly 2013, 2014, 2015, when you were, absolutely doing amazing results. Who did you lean on for a bit of support?
Well, I had the boys who used to come to Vegas with me. We used to fly over here. Was me, Joe, and my brother Joe.
Yeah.
Steve Watts. Sonny and Chaz Chatter.
Yeah,
so we had that group. We used to go out every year, and we would just all talk really amongst ourselves. And then obviously we was also very close with Kevin Allen, Lawrence Houghton. Yeah, just like even any of the UK boys, you know, there was always all out there, and you'd bump into people, you know, and you chat to them, and it just helps, like talking with people. That's what I always found.
Ton of experience there, right? So tell me, when you know, back sort of then, you're 14, 15, you've obviously got the bug for the game, and we'll blame Glenn for that. We'll blame Uncle Glenn for that. Did you at any point were you thinking, oh, I want to do this, or I want to do that? Did you have any plans that poker interrupted, or from an early age did you think, you know, if I can make some money at this, I'm really interested in turning my hand to this?
No, it never interrupted me really, because I when I left school, I went straight to work. Yeah. And I didn't go to college, university, nothing like that. So I was straight to work, and like I would just, my evenings would just be poker. Do you know what I mean? So I'd go to work, and then it would just be poker. Everything in the evening, weekends would all be. Any spare time I had was poker, basically. I mean, I know that doesn't sound too good, but that's how it was.
Well, that's the school of learning, isn't it? You know, playing hands. I mean, there isn't. Exactly. We've had a lot of people. I think this is show 33, maybe, over the last 10 weeks, and we've had a lot of people on, you know, at different levels, and there haven't been too many that has not said it takes work and it takes hands and volume and all of that sort of good stuff. Yeah. So tell me, Danny, are you, you know, we saw your results live. You know, I haven't looked for online results or stuff like that, but were you a prolific online player?
I would say, like I played cash games for, I'd say about 18 months, 2 years online, and pretty much the same live as well. Yeah. But not loads of volume live. Like I didn't play loads. But then it was pretty much just playing the live tournament circuit, really. So, I mean, there'd be times where, you know, I'd be bouncing from this place to that place, and then by the time you got home, you was like, right, I just need to have 2 weeks off. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm exhausted, you know. So, I mean, I'd always, like, I've done well online myself, and I mean, now I would definitely say, looking back on it, I had a spell, like I say, where I was just travelling and playing live, but I've also put in loads of volume online as well. So mixture of both really, but probably lean towards the live more.
And where do you feel happiest?
Vegas, that's it. Really.
Well, that sounds live. If you're in Vegas, you're talking live. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Listen, I have a couple of questions for you from chat box. So Peter Wigglesworth asks, first of all, played against Dan at the Full House Reigate. I know it well. How did you become mates with Chaz and Sonny, right? The Chasses. Was that from the Big Slick or Royal Surrey?
No, it's from the International in London.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
International in London. So met them. Met them down there, and then pretty much just like I said, it was a good community down there, and everyone just kind of got on with everyone. And then like Chaz and Sonny, they live like 5 minutes from where I was living, so you get talking, and then just went from there, and then we built great friendships over the years. So we met at the International Club.
No, that's brilliant. And Steve asks, please ask Danny, what is his money management style? Hey, that's a good problem to have, right? I never had that issue. So, like, do you separate? You know, do you have a bankroll? Do you keep it separate? You know,
so much nowadays, because I just play as and when really, and when I can and whatnot. But I mean, it's just important not to. I mean, if you are playing poker, then you definitely should have, if you can, like some separate money put aside, so you can just strictly play. You know, you don't have to worry about if I'm going to tap into that, then it's going to affect me here or whatnot. Do you know what I mean? So definitely, I would say put X amount aside strictly for poker, and then you can just build it up, or take shots when you want to and stuff like that. So.
What was it like, as a relatively youngster, sort of walking away with, 40K, 50K, 30K from events? I mean, how did you spend that money? Did you manage to hold on to it, or, are you out buying the latest PlayStation, or, what's the, you know, how do you manage when you've got a lot coming in?
Well, obviously at the time I was backed as well, so
yeah, okay.
Not everything was mine, but yeah, I mean, like I said, we used to spend like anything up to like 8 weeks in Vegas, so we just enjoyed ourselves really. Like, just had fun and partied a bit and shopping and whatnot.
Tell us about the parties. Any crazy stories?
Just make sure my missus is in. Oh no, I'm really joking. No, nothing too crazy. Just
Danny, you can't turn around and tell us nothing too crazy, right? You don't have to tell us you had a lion in your room, okay? We know that's been done, or a tiger, or whatever you call it. There's got to be some stories coming out of Vegas, right?
But first of all, Danny, so you do Vegas? So are you a house guy? Are you renting a house with a bunch of other guys, or are you hotels? What's your setup like?
Well, the majority, I would say, up to like the last couple of years that we went, we stayed at Palms Place, which I liked it there. It was nice and just away from the busy strip, so you could just chill out. So yeah, that's where we used to stay mainly.
And you just that didn't sound like the sort of place you could have fun at. Am I right?
Yeah, no, it was like the best thing about Palms was they had like a good bar in Palms Place. You just sit down and it just showed you like all the sports. So on days off from poker, that was nice to just chill out, you know, even just watching like a football match or basketball, you know, just having a few beers and that was nice out there.
Listen, I like that you guys were sensible, okay? And Billy Piper is coming in with what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and there's a lot to be said for that. Kay Bennett has a question for you. Can you please ask Danny if he has any plans to go to Vegas next year? Baby and all, let's all go.
I don't have any plans at the minute, but I mean, I would never turn down going. So I don't have any plans at the minute, but we'll just see what happens.
So what's a standard Vegas thing for you? So is it that do you go for the whole thing, or do you go for a set number of weeks?
We done the whole series once, I believe. I think maybe twice. Once or twice we went middle to late May and come back middle to late July, and that was tough. That was a grind, and you're just mentally and physically drained after. So I think we'd plan it around the good value tournaments and probably anywhere between maybe 3 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
For that. So yeah, just looking at what, like, you can't really miss the big value tournament. So
what do you class as the big value ones? What would be your kind of your top three that you've wanted?
The Millionaire Made car. What else was there? Yeah, just a really good 1500s and that. I mean, and also at the Venetian, and you know, it's good to just look at all the schedules, because there's some brilliant
tours. There's so much out there during that time, isn't it? It's just insane.
So Pete Wigglesworth says he used to play at the International too. So you know Sam Grafton well too. Lol. Did Watts used to play there also? Only played against Lawrence Houghton at the Vic. So obviously we're talking about a number of the same players.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I remember everyone played at the International pretty much from my memory. I mean, Steve Watts used to play there quite a bit. He's another one who lives like 10-15 minutes from us. So
yeah, was the remind me, Danny, was the International Barry Martin's place after the good shot?
Correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, and tell me, cash or tourneys? So obviously you're in Vegas. You're going to be playing a hell of a lot of tourneys. But you know, what would you spend time playing over there? Cash as well, or you know, where does cash fit into your live schedule?
I mean, you should definitely have played. If I look back on it now, definitely played more cash. But I mean, at the time, it's like you can go from playing 4 or 5 tournaments in the space of 4 days, and then you don't even want to. You just need to chill out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's absolutely. I mean, it's a big work period, isn't it? You know, just going from tournament to tournament. We had I don't know, was it Brandon on Tuesday night, Lee.
Yeah, Brendan Shields.
Who'd been out there, for a period of time, and he just hadn't taken a day off, and it just, it was getting a bit tiring. And I think we asked him the question, well, did you go to a show or anything? And it was almost like, oh, I never really thought of that. It's like, you just want to do it when you're out there. So, do you feel absolutely wrecked when you come back from a Vegas? I mean, are you ready for a 2-week holiday?
I mean, I think Kevin Allen said to me before, I think when he gets back from Vegas, he likes to go on holiday with his family for like a week, 2 weeks, just to like relax from it all, and whatnot, because you go through a lot of emotions when you're out there and everything like that. So at the end of it, I mean, you go out so excited, and you're positive, and you think like you're going to win tournaments and whatnot, and then you can have a good series, okay series, or a bad series, and then by the time you get home, you're like, all your emotions are just drained out with you by then. Do you know what I mean? So
I know this wouldn't have happened for you, because obviously you pretty much cashed every year, but I'm curious to know, when you were out with a group of friends, how does it work when you've got maybe someone that's literally bricking every tournament and they're within the group? I mean, is the rest of the group pretty good at kind of bringing that person up, or is it quite tough when others are winning, cashing? You're thinking, why am I not getting anything in Vegas?
I mean, we was all very supportive of each other and everything like that. So I mean, the good thing about us is we pretty much done everything as a group. So we'd even go for like dinners every day as a group. Someone got knocked out of a tournament, they'd go and chill with someone else. Like it was a very tight group, and it helped. It helped massively. Like you say, if you're running bad, and just things like that, and you're there for each other, which is the main thing. Because
the hardest thing is you can go out to Vegas with a schedule, and everyone's there with their I spreadsheet. Others might use back of a fag packet, but I'm a spreadsheet guy. So and you've got right. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play. And it's easy to start going, okay, I'll brick this, and go, oh, actually, I won't play that, or actually, I don't really. And I think if you've got people around you that are like, come on, you want to play this because this could be this will be the one. This is your game. This, to motivate you. It's fine, because you can very easy just get. I think I've said on the show before, Vegas in a weird way can be one of the loneliest places. If the poker's not going well for you. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it can be. Because it's like I say, the thing is, what I always say about poker is always it's such in your face. Like you're playing tournaments every day, and you're playing for like life-changing money, and you can go deep, and then you're out. Yeah. And then it's like, when does this opportunity come again? Do you know what I mean? That's what some people might think and whatnot. Whereas you just have to just crack on and play the next one, But it's just about keeping everyone focused and keeping the morale up, really, what I've found. Yeah.
So tell us about the final table you made, Danny. Yeah. 2.5K buy-in event, if I'm not mistaken. Eventually going out in 7th, and Glenn told the story from his point of view on the weekend, where he was sort of getting the text messages, and he was on the plane and super excited.
That involved throwing luggage at the check-in car, and everything, I can gather. And literally somebody pouring him a beer as he ran through the Rio, I think.
That's right. He rented a Ferrari for the 500-meter chase from McCarran to the Rio. What was that like as an experience? And did you walk away with regrets, or did you walk away sort of thinking, well, here I am, this young lad, I've met a final table of a World Series of Poker event. It's all ahead of me. I mean, what was your thinking at the end of it all?
It was, I remember after I got knocked out, and funny enough, we went back to the bar I was saying to at Palms, and we were just all having a few beers and chatting and that, and it's such a strange feeling, because you do feel, I mean, I think by then that was the second final table I'd made in the same week, I think. Yeah. And you're obviously like really happy and confidence is high, but on another thing, you're kind of like, wow, I've just come 7th, in a big World Series event, like, you're not far off from winning that. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you do sit there. I think eventually when I went to bed that night, I was like, wow, that was a big opportunity, but everything, I mean, I ended up getting rivered. So, I mean, there's nothing I could have done any differently.
Yeah.
So I was just a bit like, when, you know, is that chance, like I said to you earlier, is that chance going to happen again, or what an opportunity, basically? Do you know what I mean?
What would it mean to you to win a World Series of Poker bracelet? I mean, is that a target, or, to be honest, if you could win 600K in a you know, a WBT or a whatever other event it might, would that be, you know, better than 500K at a World Series of Poker?
Definitely now, like the money would mean more than the bracelet, but years ago the bracelet would mean like no, that's
the world.
That's what you want, you know.
Yeah.
Like, we've been out there every year, and you know, you're having deep runs and whatnot. It would have been amazing to have won it, but like I said, you know, not sometimes in this game there's nothing no one can do. So
no, it's true. And tell me, how did your family react to you getting those results?
Yeah, no, it's just proud and just, you know, just so happy for me, really, which was lovely, because they seen the journey that me and like my brother as well, we'd been on with poker, and you know, it was nice. It was nice.
Yeah, I mean, that was a crazy 10 days of cashes in Vegas. Yeah. I mean, how long did it take you to kind of, you know, how long were you still in Vegas for after that fight? You know, so I think your first cash was like on the 5th of June. Your fourth cash was on the 23rd of June. And for anyone that doesn't know, that it was for a total of about $150,000 over four tournaments that you cashed in. How much longer were you in Vegas for after that?
That was the year we done the whole series. So we'd actually been out there, I think about 2.5 weeks prior to the first final table. And then pretty much stayed until after the main event. So I think as soon as everyone busted the main, we kind of just all booked a flight and went home.
Wow. So you don't even book a return flight when you're doing those kind of trips?
We do, but I mean, you can change it for like 100 quid, I think it is, something like that. Yeah, so
not too bad.
If you want to get out, you can just, you know, you just go, right, 100 quid and I can get home. I'm out of it.
Yeah. Given the importance of the main event, do you think doing a hair-raising schedule like that in the 2 months leading up to the main event, do you think that detracts from your opportunity to do well in the main, or do you think actually that delivers momentum and all of that sort of stuff?
I think it depends on the person, really. I mean, I think if you know, I think if you've had an okay summer and you know, you feel you're on top of your game and you're not worn out, you're not tired, then you know you're going to play well. But I mean, if you've been taking a battering for like near on 8 weeks,
yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. Do you know what I mean? But then again, like I said, it is all person dependent, because if your mindset is in the way of being like, right, you know, I play my best every tournament. So if I'm getting, you know, rivered constantly or losing flips important times, you know, there's nothing no one can do about them situations. So it's literally, I think with the main event as well, it's such a great tournament and great structure. Like, I think everyone will go into that, like, pretty much
feeling excited, right?
Yeah.
And of course, if you've had a really difficult summer and you know you're entering the main, I mean, there's a real chance to get out of it. You know, if you manage to get a bit of momentum going, I mean, you can swing a summer and become an absolute hero if you cash there or go deep. You know, we've seen that several times. Listen, we've been joined by Catherine Shaw. She says hello. So hello to you, Catherine. Steve's got another question. I don't know if you can answer this one, but how much would a Vegas trip really cost? It's a difficult question, right? There's lots of variables.
Like I say, it's all person dependent, really. It depends what you're going to play, how long you're going for. You know, are you studying action? You know, just everything. It all depends, really.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough. I thought that might be a tricky one to answer. Yeah. So talk about format. Hold'em. You're obviously an extremely talented Hold'em player. Have you a game in mixed? You know, do you play any of the stud events or?
I've never played any of the World Series.
Yeah.
Only because, pretty much, with my backer as well, they just wanted to hold them and stuff like that. So, I mean, if I was to go now, on my own, I would definitely play a lot more of the mixed games, and probably, like I was referring to earlier, a lot of the big value hold'em tournaments all around. So yeah, I mean, if I had a choice and I was going on my own, definitely would play a lot of the mixed stuff. Yeah.
Why would you do that? Is it for the fact that maybe you feel you got an edge in those games? Is it because there are smaller fields and therefore you know final tables that bit closer? Why would you particularly want to go into those events?
Because some of the mixed games, I mean, I think I was saying to Glenn not that long ago, they're actually really enjoyable as well. Like they're really enjoyable, and yeah, definitely the fact of like if you know how to play Raz, for example, and are pretty decent at Raz. I mean, there's not huge variance in these games, you know. So, like if you know how to play, you're reading your board against the player's board. So, like you say, you might play a 1500 Raz event, like what you were just saying, sorry, and there'd be 300 people going and 400 people, you know. This is not a high variance tournament. You know, you could sit there all summer playing 500 1Ks with 4,000 people in a no limit hold'em. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, you've got to run okay to go deep in stuff, you know. So, yeah, definitely the mixed stuff would appeal to me just because the chance of winning at a lower variance game, and also just for the enjoyment of them also. I do find them enjoying to play.
We had a guy on a couple of weeks ago called Robbie Straczynski, and Robbie is well known within the poker media circles, does a lot of stuff at the World Series. You might very well have come across him. And he's a very keen sort of, you know, home game player and stuff like that, based out in Israel, so he doesn't get the chance to play live often. But he told the story of playing his first event. You know, his mates gathered round, raised a buy-in for him. He was going to play his first World Series of Poker event maybe 2 years ago or something. And he decided he was going to go for a dealer's choice game. So he was going to stay out of the hold'em and all of that. And sort of part of his thinking was, well, you know, they're small field events, relatively speaking. And, you know, he thinks he's a good mixed game player. Clearly he is. But he said, you know, the realization that when he sat down at his table and like 7 or 8 people at the table had bracelets won already. It's like, it's a very high quality field. So like he said, over half of the field, there was only 300-400 people in there, but over half of the field were bracelet winners. And it's like, he said the real skill there when you're choosing your game is to choose games, not that you're strong at, but to choose games that other players are weak at.
Yeah, exactly.
It was really interesting to hear him. But of course, there's a huge credibility to, you know, it maybe even beyond a hold'em bracelet, to winning like a mixed game bracelet in Vegas. It's a real authentic thing to do.
Yes, like you said, I mean, those players that are playing them tournaments, like the professionals in them, they'll goes back to what I was saying earlier. They will know every spot and every situation, you know. So I'm not saying the mixed games will be easier, because everything, especially nowadays, is so tough, you know. So in them games, it will be really tough. But it goes back to my point of like just a bit lowered variance and enjoyment as well. So I mean, like I said, you know, you could go out there and play a mixed event, and then you could just find yourself with, you know, Sean D. Bivey and Negron. You know what I mean? They ain't making a mistake against you in a mixed game. So yeah, I mean, but then, you know, if you was to say you won a bracelet in a mixed event, you know, that's a huge accomplishment.
I think so. Yeah, that would definitely be a credit forever. So tell me, describe your game, right? Your style. So, you know, again, we've asked this question a lot. We get a lot of variance in the answer. So are you an aggressive player, a tight player? Are you a numbers guy? Are you an insight feel guy?
Definitely a lot of instinct and numbers as well, yeah. So just a bit of both, really. And just picking up players' tendencies, really, like when they're making mistakes. And I think my game gets really strong deep in tournaments. Just reading situations, and like I said to you, like, I mean, the money was never really, when you're playing, the money never really comes into your mind. I found that anyway.
Yeah.
So if you think, I've always been that kind of player. Like if I think I'm right in this spot, I will take it, you know. kind of thing. So to a certain extent, but like I say, yeah, definitely towards the latter stage of tournaments, definitely more aggression than passive. But you need to have gears, and it's hard because you need to know what tables you're on, and if you've got a table with everyone's playing really aggressive, then the best thing is to just tighten up. So
yeah.
It's definitely all table and player dependent, but definitely later in tournaments I tend to open up a lot more than early and late middle. Sorry.
Yeah, well, listen, it's obviously a crucially important thing to be able to handle the pressure, and just based on what you've said there, if the money isn't the central thing in your mind, that means invariably you're handling the pressure better than others, where every hand and a ladder and all of that good stuff can really impact their game. Now. A couple of things, really. You're getting a lot of love in the chat box from Catherine. Okay. Dan, you're a legend, right? So you don't need Catherine to tell you that. We all think you're a legend. He can't describe his style. He's a poker face, right? So you're even hiding your style here from us. Igor has asked a question, which makes me going to assume that he's doing well in the stud game. No stud game on the stream today. So unfortunately not, Igor. We're not covering it tonight. We will certainly be covering final results, and I'm sure Leigh will give us an update at some point in the near future, or maybe I will. Maybe I will.
It might be you, Des.
Well, I tell you what, Leigh. I'll tell you what I can do. I'll tell you what I can give you an update. Let's do a little bit of a kind of a lambing update. Okay.
The Sunday roller feeder has finished for tonight.
Okay.
4 players have gone through. Dean Pearson, who's just joined the stream, I can see.
Yeah.
So hello to you, Dean.
Hi,
Dean's
Dean.
going through with just over 70,000 chips. Second place is Mr. Glenn Lamming, who's taking 37,500 through to Sunday's final. So
decent player. He's the best. He's the best Lamming we've had on the show, really, all week.
Yeah.
Second best.
And Rachel Lee's also gone through with 32,000, and Andy Heath has just got 5,000 chips. I think he's got them through, but I have a feeling he might have another go at that before Sunday, I would have thought. With 21 players left in the Poker Squad's Mix Max tonight, which is why, if you're watching on the screen, they're playing hand for hand at the moment, 4-handed. So we're one away from the money in that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Leigh. And Kenny Hutton has said, hope you're better at poker than dodging baby walkers. What's this about the baby walkers?
So last week was at Sam's parents' house, and the baby was in their walker and basically just clean took me out. So
hey, it happens. Do you know what? She sounds like a lambing.
Yeah, definitely.
She's going to fit into the family just fine. That's what I'm sensing there. So listen, you've told us a bit about your game. Now we know it's no secret. Poker has changed a hell of a lot over the last 5 or 6 years. It doesn't matter whether you're a live player, an online player. There's been a lot of change in the game. Has your game changed to keep up with it? And if so, how?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely the game is a lot more post-flop now. So just, working out what hands you should be defending big blinds with, flattening hands more, where years ago a lot of stuff was pre-flop aggression. So now it's just hand reading better and playing post-flop better, I would say. But like I say, it's just about being in them situations, and if you don't know what hands you should be defending big blinds with, or flattening button, for example, and you just try to do it, you're going to make very big mistakes. So it's just about, like I say, with poker, everything is experience and just putting yourself in situations constantly and learning what people are doing also. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, and like I said, even early on in tournaments and midway through, just tightening up certain spots where before, you might take a much more aggressive line. So just playing, I would say a little bit more tighter, and just defending what you should be, really.
Yeah. Is it tougher today, Danny?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I haven't played huge amounts the last 2 or 3 years. I would say hardly anything pre. But but bits and pieces. Like I say, I kind of just was like, right, when I've got the free time, I'll play. You know, so I haven't put in huge volume, but I've still shown some good results the last 2 years. So
yeah, I mean that's pretty impressive when you're not putting in the volume, because you know again everybody says volume is key, volume, and that isn't easy to do when you've got a life outside of poker.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So that is very, very cool. Who's the best player you've played against?
The best player I've played against, I would say, was Matt Perrins.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, Matt,
yeah, Matt Perrins, live, yeah, definitely.
And what do you like about Matt's game?
Well, I went deep with Matt, I would say a few times, and we made the final table of the Monte Carlo at Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah,
and I was on his table the last 2 tables out, and obviously on the final, and I was like, thinking to myself, wow, this boy can play. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like, he knows so much. Like, and I was like, he's so good. I just remember thinking that about him. Like, I was like, this boy is so good. You know, like when you think that, you know, you're good and you have to be confident. And then when I played against him, I was like, wow, he's really good. You know, and just like I said to you, I went deep with him a few times, and so I learned some stuff off of him just by playing with him. You know, so...
Were you in Vegas for his bracelet win?
Yeah, I think it was his first... Oh, no, was it his second? I think it was his second one. We was there, yeah. Yeah, we was there out there for that. So, yeah, I remember that one. But, yeah, I just was always... When people have asked me that, I've always said that, because he's the only player, like, really I've played against where, at the time, I was like, wow, you are, like... You're incredible, you know. That's. I remember thinking that at the time.
Yeah.
Does he still play, Danny, or not?
Sure. I don't know. To be perfectly honest, I'm guessing maybe pretty similar as and when he plays. I really don't know, but I mean, I think I went deep in a tournament in London maybe 3 years ago, and he was there, but that's the last time I see him.
Yeah.
So not too sure.
Did you raise a Coors Light loafer to him? I hope so. I'm sure you did. Ricky Brett's in the chat box. He's saying oi oi Lamin. So you got
who was that? Sorry,
Ricky Brett.
Okay, yeah.
I assume one of your mates. So here's a tricky one. Player with the most potential. Who have you seen out there that, you know, maybe hasn't got across the line in the way that perhaps they might do at some point in future? Any names you would throw at us that you say keep an eye out for this one?
Definitely. I mean, like I said, we haven't played. I'm talking about me and my brother now. We haven't played huge amounts the last 2 or 3 years, but he's always been a player like who has never been rewarded for how good he is. Basically, you know, like he's had some good results, but I mean, you know, no one sees the deep runs and the bad beats you get because no one knows. You know, no one's meant to know. But I mean, my brother's he's got such a good all-round game, but he's run terribly in every situation he's got in, and I know that firsthand. So you know,
do you think does he still have a shot, or is there an age profile these days that once you go beyond it, it's tougher?
No, we pretty much just play as and when we can really now. So but definitely he would be one player if he won something huge for like 200-300 grand. I would never be surprised, you know, because I know how good he is.
Yeah,
it's like I said, sure, that is the one person when that question come up that I would say has just ran so below EV when it's mattered, basically.
No, that's cool, and it's nice to see brothers, representing each other. I think that's a really cool thing. So, guys, you're listening to Danny Lamin here with us. It is 5 minutes to 11, and that can only mean one thing. At 11 o'clock, we will be running Turbo Millionaire. So, guys, if you'd like to play our Turbo Millionaire game tonight, do get Turbo into the chat box, and we will randomly select one of you guys to answer 5 questions, Turbo Millionaire style. It'll be fast, it'll be furious. You'll get one lifeline, 50-50. And, if you get the fastest time of the week, there will be 2 entries to APAT Championship events for you for next weekend. So Turbo in the chat box if you want to play tonight, guys. We will choose somebody at 11.
Cool. So Bubbles burst in the Thursday Mix Max. So we're down to 16 players now. They're on a 5-minute break. So and once we've got through the break and played Turbo Millionaire, then we'll focus in on the remaining players and see who's going to scoop tonight. I didn't talk about payouts earlier on, so I'll just rattle those through. $182 up top tonight for your $5 entry. So nice little prize for somebody.
Yeah, very nice. We'll have that. Thank you very much.
I'm still struggling to get onto the stud, so if you're able to give me any idea on how many are left, that'd be great.
Well, I suppose I could do actually at the moment because I can just cover up the screen, right? Because whenever I...
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
I know they're on a break. I can see as much as that.
I've seen that. Let's... Okay, just getting a stud update for you guys. Here we go. So we have 5 players left. Gordon MacArthur, David Wellings, William, let's just extend this, William Johnston, that's Billy Johnston, Max Schneider, and Igor. Igor is up top with 822,000 chips.
You could have guessed that.
Yeah, Max is second with 555, Billy Johnston is 456, David Wellings is 413, and Gordon MacArthur 102,000. Yanni finished 6th, Peter Monroe 7th, Colin McCarthy 8th, and Sean Snell in 9th.
Yeah. So Igor looking to go one better than he did last week. He finished 2nd in this tournament last week.
Fantastic result. Of course, we did give this event a lot of coverage last week, hence it's lost out this week, I'm afraid, guys. So it's looking pretty interesting there. Good luck with the remainder of that, Igor, and to anybody else, of course, who's listening in. Okay. So
good.
So tell me, Danny, are you playing any more online poker than normal through lockdown, or you trying?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
How's it going? Going okay?
Yeah, it's going okay. Come final table the Omaha Scoop last week, I think it was.
Fantastic, nice.
Yeah, the $22 low one. So ended up getting 7th for 2,300, I think it was.
Pretty big field.
I think it was 8,000 runners actually. Yeah,
Holy Jesus.
Yeah, so pretty big. Yeah.
Wow, it's amazing, given the volume that you're doing, that you're still able to turn around a result like that. I mean, that's great guns. So,
what's your plan? Will you? Obviously, they've announced some online WSOP bracelets for the summer. Will you giving it a go on GG, trying to win a bracelet during the summer?
Probably not, but wouldn't rule out anything, but probably not at the minute.
Yeah, there's been an interesting debate the past few days as to whether do they really count, or would they have been better off just calling it a kind of a series and not putting bracelets up, or call them online bracelets. There's been some interesting debates.
I don't know if you've noticed, guys, but the bracelets, each and every bracelet says online on it. So they will be online bracelets, and I'm sure they'll have some form of asterisk.
I saw one article with a headline, "Do online bracelets count?"
Yeah,
kind of interesting.
No, I'm sure it'll be a big series. I'd be surprised if it wasn't massively successful.
Yeah, I think it will as well. Yeah,
I wouldn't expect it to be as successful as an APAT medal event, Lee. I have to say, but
no, definitely not. No, that goes without saying. But because they're not the only ones, because I see that the WPT have, whether I'm not sure they've announced, but it certainly was up on the website, their World Online Championship schedule. So I'm assuming, Des, you're going to be focusing in on the super high roller 102,000 buy-in.
I intend to play a full schedule, Lee. I keep saying this to you, a full schedule of really, really, really cheap satellites. That's what I intend to play. And we'll see how we go from there.
They've got some biggie stuff. Most of them are most of their side events are $3,000 buy-ins, but they've got they've got Knocker, they've got PL08, Tottenham Omaha heads. They've got a heads-up tournament, a mix max tournament. So
do they have any events with like a $5-10 buy-in? Anything in that range?
You could work your way up through the tournament dollar satellites. There, see how you get on.
I'm not sure I have the skill.
Yeah, see where you can get to. Right then, should we get somebody on this call and
let's do it?
Play Millionaire.
Let's do it. Who's leading, Lee? Remind me.
That's a really good question, isn't it?
Which week are we in?
It would be Rob, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was Rob.
Yeah,
he did
Rob,
5,
yeah.
didn't he? In like a minute.
He did, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
There we go. We knew that. Just testing you. That's all.
Yeah, never in doubt. Never in doubt.
10 weeks on, Danny, we're beginning to struggle here, I tell you. I'm not quite sure what day it is, but...
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
I was going to say, but it gets me out of the house. Oh,
we should have Jeff Talbot on the line.
Mr. Talbot, are you there? Earth to Jeff. Jeff, are you there? I can't hear him, Lee.
He's on the call. Definitely on the call.
He's playing us. He's on mute or something.
Oh.
Are you there, Jeff?
Trouble is, now he's on the call. I can't get rid of him.
Oh, no. We'll have to send a hitman round. Do we know where he lives?
Hang on, can you hear me now?
There we go. There we go. He was trying to play it real tricky, sort of on mute, you know. I didn't give the wrong answer. You can't prove I did.
I wasn't expecting to get on tonight.
Well, there you go. Your look is in, Jeff. How is everything?
Fine, we're still in.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was incorrect. That was your first question, and you've got it wrong. I can't believe it. You're finished already. Insane.
No, we're still in.
Of course, Jeff, you've been running really well over the last 7, 8, 9 weeks. Really up there in the MVP. So I'm not surprised you're still in. But
well, me and Sophie keep getting knocked off first and second all the time because Lee keeps swapping the bloody thing round.
Just showing a slightly different view of the world, Jeff. A slightly different view of the world. That's okay. So listen, Turbo Millionaire, right? You know the gig. You've been on this before. 5 questions, super fast. You've got 1 50-50. So if you don't like a question, I can take away 2 of the options. Your time will start with your first question, and it will end on your answer of your final question. Are you good to go?
Yeah,
it's going to need to be quick, Jeff.
It's going to need to be quick.
Rob did about 1 minute 35 on Tuesday night. So.
Yeah, we've had to ask for a urine test for Rob. I'm afraid it's not through in the post yet. Okay, here we go. Jeff, the full what is a phrase meaning the full amount, everything included? The full Toby, Harry, Bobby, Monty. Monty we like. Correct answer. Question 2 coming up. A stylized what features on the shirts worn by the Scotland Rugby Union team? Haggis, bagpipe, kilt, thistle.
Thistle.
We like thistle. 2 for 2. Well done, Jeff. You're away safely. Question 3. About to come up on my screen. Here we go. What is the name of Beyonce's first perfume launched in 2010? Is it Fire, Passion, Heat, or Desire?
Desire.
Oh, he's gone for Desire. Oh, it's Heat. Oh, Jeff.
I had no idea.
Well, listen, mate, I'm not surprised. We'd have needed Jason Chilmade for that one, I'm afraid.
I assume Beyonce fragrances will be one of your specialist subjects.
Oh, yeah. Only on Wednesdays, Lee, not Thursday.
Oh, that is...
Thursdays is something else.
That is hilarious. I think, Jeff, you were going for speed there, right? Hence, you decided against the 50-50 option.
Yeah.
It's fair enough. Well, listen, it wasn't to be tonight, Jeff, but I'm sure there'll be another time down the path when we'll do it again. Everyone,
We'll let you focus on the poker.
Yeah.
He's currently 8th of the 14 players remaining, so we never know. We might be commentating on some of your poker before the night is out.
Never know me luck.
Lovely. Thank you, Jeff.
Cheers, mate. See you later. Bye.
Oh, there we go. It's the perfume. Perfume got him. I'm surprised.
Oh, Danny, are you a fragrance man? Yeah, you all over that, yeah?
Yeah.
Danny's a Millwall fan. The only fragrance you do that down there is sort of it's a bit tinty and rusty. It smells sort of, yes. I think they call it something different. So there we go, guys. That was Turbo Millionaire. So Rob stays in the lead. He's got a big time. 5 correct answers in 130 something. Be hard to knock off the top this week. So now, guys, we can start to focus in on the poker.
Excellent. So what table have we got, Des?
So we have table Deborah Roberts. Does that help? Let's see if I can get
Yeah, it does. It's table 42.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's all good. So
thank you, guys.
we're currently down to 14 players, and we're playing four-handed now for the rest of this tournament. So it's pretty quick and aggressive. So the mix max works. You start playing 8-handed for 10 levels, then you go to 6-handed for another 10 levels, and then 4-handed for the remainder of the tournament. So obviously this, Danny, kind of I suppose it to a certain extent, it's kind of how an end of a tournament would be. It's just very, very aggressive when you're playing short-handed. How does your game change from, say, a full ring table to when you're playing 3 or 4-handed?
Yeah, massively, because I always say no one really gets dealt a hand, so you have to really open up and play hands. Obviously, not too wide, but wider than the norm, and just like I always say, just reading spots and situations, because I think the key when you're playing short-handed is to value bet thin. I think it's the best way to put it. And
so when you're saying thin, what is it? Just keeping the pot small, or are you talking about
just basically on like turns and rivers, just getting value, because ranges are so no one, like I say, free-handed, no one should really be massive. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, just finding spots and possibly value betting middle pair where sometimes it would go check, just certain situations like that. Yeah, but like I say, just reading what people are doing and how people react to short-handed, because some people won't play aggressive how maybe you should free-handed, so you can really open up on them kind of players as well. But like I say, you can't go too mad or too aggressive, because you'll just get yourself in stupid situations. But you definitely need to open up a lot more short-handed.
Des, can you just make sure the table's up?
It's up.
Okay, cool. Excellent stuff. So so we're 12 left now. So we've gone back to 4-handed here, which means we've got Jeff Talbot, who we've just spoken to on Turbo Millionaire, who's now joined the table with 690,000 chips. So these guys are well stacked. I mean, blinds are 10,000, 20,000. So these guys have got decent sized stacks here. So there should be a bit of play. But as you said, what is it a case of working out the players you've got there? Is somebody going to be aggressive, and then do you then sit back and let them kind of boss the table a little bit, Danny, and sussing out what your opponents are going to do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as well, like situations deep, chip stacks now become very valuable. So someone who's got a lot of chips will obviously be opening a lot more, and sometimes in situations there's nothing you can do. Like there's literally nothing you can do, so you find yourself just keep folding. So yeah, I mean, stacks, especially deep and short-handed, stack sizes become way more important than, say, middle of the tournament, full ring, So just looking at who's doing what, and just trying to pick your spots, really, I would say. Especially if you're, like, in the middle of the pack, just not panicking and just picking your spots right.
Yeah, so our chip leader at the moment in the tournament, Aniran Nye, he's just he's flatted, limped it out the button there. So interestingly, that the small blind, obviously very cheap for them to get into the pot, but Jake wasn't interested. So just the two of them going to see this hand, but it's checking down. There's just no aggression here from either of them, and a little bet from Nye at the. On the river, gets it through. So that's fairly easy. So, what do you like on online? Are you a note taker, or do you do you have a way of kind of tracking players? And
I used to use a HUD, but I never really went too in depth with it. I just was looking at just certain stuff that helped, like VPIP and proof block raising, and just stuff like that. Just like the valuable stuff, not looking too much into it, because that's when everything can just be too confusing. Just getting basic information on players, and definitely just noting down anything that comes to your attention, really, anything that may help you later on.
So if you're able to kind of pigeonhole as a type of player, which you then know. Okay, once you've kind of logged that, so are you pretty good memory wise and keeping those things?
Very good memory. Yeah, definitely. But I think,
and does that work for you live as well? Are you kind of good at going?
Yeah,
obviously you've got the players that play regularly, but you're able to pick up on the more recreational players and go, oh yeah, I played against you last year.
And things do just tend to stick in your mind, and you do get a feel of how everyone plays live. And I mean, online, you're looking at screen names, so you can just miss so much stuff. So it's important to write stuff down, anything major that happens. So definitely live's all stored in your, like you say, in your memory, because I don't know, as poker players you do remember stuff.
It's normally the bad stuff though, isn't it? That's the problem with poker players. They remember their bad beats.
And, for sure. Yeah.
And how do you find because obviously all of the APAT tournaments online these days are all real name tournaments. So we've done away with kind of the screen name thing. Yeah. What do you make of all of that?
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, definitely it's different, but I definitely think it's good. I mean, everything changes eventually, doesn't it? And I do think that's a good move from Party. I don't know. It just, like I say, especially online. I mean, you might not know someone's screen name, but then you might have played with them so many times live, and then they'll just pop up with their name. You're like, oh, I know him or her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and it's just different, really, isn't it? No one's used to that, and I think it's a really good idea what they've done.
Yeah, and I think it's coming in other places. I think I saw GG Poker have brought it in for their high stakes cash tables as well now, I think, as well. So
the thing is with poker, I mean, poker seems to change all the time, doesn't it? So I mean, it's just another thing which sites are doing a bit different to others.
Yeah, it's like the throwing animations, isn't it, as well? That's another thing which they're all doing, which is quite funny. We had Brandon Shields on Tuesday. He said, "I love that." He said, "I love the throwing stuff." He said it's great. So Debbie's bet out here, and I've seen Nye re-raise it using his big stack to good effect. Blind on blind, so 9-6-9 board is it's.
It's not in favour of the big blind there. So yeah, it can definitely raise a lot of stuff there. I mean, Deborah should hardly ever have a 9. Well, not hardly ever, but I mean, not really. So yeah, just put her in a tough spot, really. Like, I mean,
But that's I'm guessing what you want to be doing. This is about applying pressure, isn't it? In the right way, but doing it in a controlled fashion. Yeah.
Like I said, it goes back to just players' tendencies, chip stacks. Balls what hit certain people's ranges that shouldn't really hit other people. And once you realise everything like that and put that into practice, you can find yourself taking spots a lot more wider than you would have done previously. And like I say, he's got a big stack as well, so. He can just, instead of calling, maybe, I don't know what he had, but if he had like a gut shot or, something 2 overs maybe, and it was just like, I'm just going to put in a tough spot here because, they've got the chips to do it. So that's what I mean with with short-handed play. It's very, you need to just do things a little bit differently.
Yeah, and the other 3 stacks actually. I mean, Aniran's in a position now where actually he can really hoover up a lot of chips here if he keeps the pressure on all of them.
Yeah.
Because they're not yet at a point, although they're all in the money, they're not at a point until the kind of, you're talking the last 6, last 4. It's the money jumps aren't huge at the moment, so he can really make the most of it at this point in the tournament.
Yeah, sure.
And I guess that comes down to the mentality of the player as well, Danny. Is it that some players are going, right, I'm now at this point, okay, so with 12 players left, at this point I'm going on to win it, or some players have the mentality of, well, okay, I'm just going to ladder up a few more places and just lock up a bit more money,
yeah? Yeah. Like I say, a lot of it is player and person dependent, so you like you just putting more pressure on here, putting Deborah in some tough spots.
Yeah, not letting anybody see a cheap flop, and Is that your game? Would you would always be? Yeah, I'm not letting you. Yeah, I'm not going to let you see anything on the cheap.
If you have a big stack and you know, like I say, short-handed, you're going to be like, you know, he can just open up and just use his position to his advantage, because it's so hard, as we all know, to play out position sometimes. So yeah, just using it sensibly really, and just putting pressure on as and when.
And what do the other guys do with the size of stacks that they've got? I mean, they've all got roughly about 20 bigs.
Yeah, I mean, they've all got stacks. You know, they're not in no rush to do anything really. You know, they're all pretty comfortable as tournaments go. So, I mean, for them, they could, you know, really. It depends. Like I say, if they're opening the button every single orbit, you know, you can shove a bit lighter. You know, just to maintain your stack basically. Because I mean, if he's raising like near 100% on the button, then you know you can't just let that happen every single time.
So at some point you've got to say, all right, I'm going to play.
Yeah,
it doesn't even necessarily matter the cards you've got. Yeah, it's a case of just going picking a spot.
I mean, it does matter the cards you got. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be, like I say, just a little bit lighter than normal. You know, like you know, not waiting for ace queen, ace king. You know, you might take a spot with ace 8 suited. You know, something like that, or you know, king 9 suited. You know, just re-steal basically. If he's stealing every single time on the button, just hands that can, you know, got some equity when called and whatnot. So yeah, just picking up, just seeing what everyone's doing, who's taking advantage of what. But like I say, the stacks that they've got, they're in no rush at the minute for tournaments. Like they're perfect grinding stacks.
Yeah, and that's where we're at this point in the tournament now. If you haven't got a monster stack, you are just a case of wanting to hang on in there and see what happens. Yeah. No, it's the best way to do. So do you? I mean, when you're playing online, what do you play? Do you like playing the full ring tournaments, or do you like sort of 6 max or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely stronger 6 max than full ring, definitely, because I played like near on 2 years Zoom 6 max cash, so my background's in that pretty much. So 6 max is definitely a stronger game of mine. But I mean, I like playing full ring as much as I like playing 6 max, so it doesn't really bother me. But I would definitely say 6 max, I'm stronger.
Is that because your game suits more action, or just
knowing spots really and ranges and stuff like that. Like I say, where I played probably millions of hands of cash games of that, you just see everything, you know, and whatnot. And yeah, definitely like. It's more interesting and more faster 6 max. Yeah, definitely suits my game better.
So welcome to I see Jack Derbyshire, who was on the table we're watching, has just joined the stream as well, and has then tagged in one of his mates as well, so excellent. I'm assuming Gwed Herbs, he meant go on Derbs, I think. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah.
I think it's Welsh.
Is that what it is?
It's Welsh. Yeah. It's Welsh for where do I sign up to this great tour?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. So this has been quite, it's quite a passive table actually.
Do you ever watch Twitch or anything like that, Danny, or do you ever have any plans? You know, would you like to do something yourself on the likes of Twitch?
Not really. I mean, my younger brother, he done a lot of gaming years ago, and he actually told me, I think it was before Twitch become really big, he was like, I use Twitch for my gaming, and it's like amazing. Basically, he's like, maybe you should look at doing something like that. And I never really thought about it even back then. But I mean, he did kind of give me the early tip off, and didn't use it. So no plans for anything like that, really. But like I say, you know, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, no.
Would you want to do any with your experience and skill of the game? You know, any sort of training or kind of mentoring of players?
I've never really thought about that. I mean, the only thing that I've done, like I say, is just to talk with my mates about hands. Like we always, you know, I always find that people like will ask, like they'd ask my opinion on stuff, and I'm always honest with everyone about stuff because, you know, I'd rather, you know, if I was asking someone like I have done, I'd want, if I played a hand bad, I want you to tell me. Do you know what I mean? But no real coaching or training, anything like that's come up, and it's nothing that I've really made an effort to put out there either. So yeah, nothing.
Would you say that you're obviously the guys that you were playing live with back in the day?
Yeah.
You've all come through together, and that's because you've been playing with good players, and week in, week out. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's got to be what makes your game. Yeah. Yeah,
of course. I mean, like poker, like I say, it's just experience. You can't beat experience in poker. You know, like I remember, I used to say, especially the early years of going to Vegas, every year I went to Vegas, I felt I come back and I learned something different than the previous year. Like Vegas for me, when I was going deep with good players and whatnot, I would always learn something different, whether it was like confidence deep. I mean, like, you know, just things like that, like different things. I mean, I always found the game moved on every year. You kind of out there, like, so you'd always pick up on certain things which good players were doing.
Yeah, and I guess it's the same thing. Is you can, if you're playing a game on a regular basis and you're beating that game, okay, you're making some profit, but actually you're not going to improve your game. You might be profitable at that level, but actually you'll never be able to, you know, to see if you can achieve at a higher level if you're not playing against people. You know, it's like as they say, you don't ever want to be, you know, the cleverest guy in the room because it doesn't work.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I used to love playing. Like, if I looked at table draws and I had a tough table, I used to like it because, you know, it's always poker. Everything is just about learning. You know, and especially in the early years, like all I used to try and do was just to learn. You know, when I made mistakes, I'd just look over them and be whatnot. But when you do learn stuff, like, it's just so key to everything because like poker is just like one long journey. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one long journey and you just have to keep going and just keep learning and keep playing and that's it.
Yeah. So who live would you say, who's got your number? Who would you be if you were sat down at a table and they were sat there? You'd be like, oh great, not who I want to be playing against.
That's a good question actually. I never really. I mean, I had this conversation with someone before, and I'd said that I've pretty much played with everyone live. Everyone that I can think of that has done well through the game. I think I've played with pretty much everyone live. And like I said to you, I used to enjoy it more than fear it. So I used to enjoy, like, you know, saying like, right, I deserve to be here in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can cope here, and you know, like I say, you're not fear. And going back to the question you said earlier, there was only like I said to you, when I played deep with Perrins a few times, like he really stood out to me. You know, like to how good he was then. So yeah, more than anything, like not having that thing of being like, oh, he's on my left or he's got a big stack on my table. I used to just like embrace it and just enjoy it, you know, rather than be like a bit timid or think, oh, should I take this or against them? Just enjoy it and play your game because you know you obviously know that your knowledge, you got a lot of knowledge about the game. So,
is there anyone you'd like to have played against in an MTT that you've not had the chance to share a table with? You think, oh, I really would just love to have sat down for a couple of hours.
Yeah, there are two players, like obviously two old school players, like Negreanu and Helmuth. I come close to their tables twice deep in the World Series, and I would love to have got on their table.
Genuinely, so you would have been like, yeah, just get me, if you could have fixed it to get on the table, you would have done,
Because when you see, like, especially like Negreanu play, he's got like a really good style, like, you know, for live, it works for him, like it works for him. So it would have just been interesting to see how his like style does work. Do you know what I mean? Because it's different to everyone. Like, you know, he's small balls pretty much everything, but he's a very intelligent person. So, you know, it would have just been interesting to not just see clips and highlights of him and just to play with him maybe for a day. Do you know what I mean? Just to see what he does a bit differently to everyone else.
Well, that was a hand, blind on blind. Debbie got it all in with ace-5. Nyron made the call with ace-9, and the flop came down 2-3-4. So Debbie gets a full double up, and our chip leader,
she has the chips,
absolutely decimated there.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have feared either of those. I guess also, although you can watch those players on, millions of clips, on YouTube or whatever, the actual fact of being sat at the table live and watching how they handle themselves and in between hands and all this kind of thing, it would be just, something different, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It would have been amazing. Like I said, more than anyone, like definitely Negreanu, because he seems to have kept up with everything over the years and just seems to win all the time. But he also has a very unique style. He's
had an ability to change his game, isn't he?
Exactly.
And just make it. He's like the Madonna of the poker world. Just always seems to be able to kind of reinvent himself for whatever's coming next.
Yeah, and that's what I mean with poker. It's important to take views and outlooks on everyone's game. Like that's what I try to do as well. I try to take bits and pieces from, people that I'd watched and things that I'd looked at, and try and just make one perfect game, really. If that makes sense.
What did you take? What have you taken from Glenn's game that you brought into your own?
It's quickly dispatched.
What's Uncle Glenn? What did Uncle Glenn add into your armory?
Cash, I hope.
Not
staking.
I mean, even when Glenn come out to Vegas with us, we all, always talk about poker and hands and whatnot. Like you say, Glenn used to come and be a part of us when he eventually got out, and he'd come for beers with me and the boys, and we'd all talk poker and all talk about.
I love talking poker with Glenn. It's proper thing. From the APAT community, Glenn is one of those proper thinkers of the game, and it's always great sharing any time you can to discuss the game with him.
Yeah,
great guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
So tell me, those big name pros that you sat with over the years, Danny, did any of them disappoint you? Either their game or their attitude, anything like that. Did anyone, surprise you a little?
Yeah, I mean, one stands out. It's like, you like I say, there's so many clips and everything that you can watch, and especially if you was to watch poker on telly, for example, you're going to get an hour's viewing of a day's poker, so you're not going to see much. And people, I think the main thing is people do play a lot tighter than what everyone thinks.
Yeah.
So I mean, I remember playing EPT London, and I was on Elkey's table.
Oh yeah,
and he did not move a chip all day. And I was,
wow.
And I went home that night and I was like, he actually played so tight. This man has got a reputation for being so loose and aggressive and whatnot. And I mean, obviously, you can just be card dead all day. No one says you can't. You can just be card dead all day. But I remember that stuck out for me. And I was like, yeah, these players, they don't play as reckless as what people think. They're very clever in a way.
Well, you said it earlier on when you said it's a grind, and actually the World Series in particular is an absolute grind. If you want to make it through and have deep runs, you do have to just be really controlled in what you're doing. You can't just go out there splashing your chips around thinking you're going to win anything. Of
course not. But I do think as well, that's how some of the big name pros do get chips. They do have I don't know, this aura about them that people just think they're bluffing and that all the time. I don't know, it's strange.
But do you not think that comes from a reputation? And sometimes I guess it can work for a player and it can work against it. But where it works for a player is when it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so. You're able to then control it and use it to your advantage. Yeah. I mean, would you say, because obviously you've been on run deep in lots of events, so people have seen quite a bit of your poker and will have seen quite a bit these days, will seen quite a bit of your whole cards, so therefore can understand what's your about. Do you think that can work for you or against you?
Both, really. I think both. I would probably lean more towards for you because it's like I say, no one is ever really. I mean, I'm not saying never because it does happen. No one's playing reckless. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's very I always say that the good winning players, they're very intelligent players. So they're always play pretty much really good. So if like I say, if someone might just watch a stream when there's 12 players left, you know, and for example, like I said, they could just be opening, like just putting so much pressure on with last two tables, and then they might go and play with that same player, you know, midway through a tournament the following week, and he might just be playing, he or she might be playing really tight because they're forced to, and they might just make a mistake because they're like, well, I've seen how aggressive this player can be.
Yeah. They've caught a snapshot of at that particular point in the tournament, which is completely different. Yeah. And again, a pro player or somebody that plays far more, you know, regular, is aware of that. Whereas, a recreational player is not going to necessarily spot it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And we're going to lose Debbie there. Actually, she's got it in with it. She's got it in with her aces a couple of times. Has just got unlucky. First time it was against kings, and then that time with king queen. So we're down to 8 players, but we've lost that table. But Des will bring another one up for us.
There we go. So we've got table Jeff Talbot up now.
So 41 then.
41.
So 41. Lovely. So we're down to 8 players now. And Jeff's gone, so I'll tell you what, you should come on Turbo Millionaire more often. He's gone from, what did he have? I think he had about 500,000 when
I think he had about 5K,
and he is now chip leader with 8 players remaining. So had a good. Of course, this is the time in the tournament, Danny, isn't it? If you can get onto a little bit of a heater and a little bit of momentum going.
That's what we were saying. I mean, he had a perfect, like, just to grind it out stack, and you know the spots will come. So, you know, like they do come if you wait, you know, a spot will appear, and you know, you run well, and you know, you can just
we had James Leigh on a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying his game when he first started out, he was very much I'll either bust really early or I'll run really deep, and it took a while for him to kind of find the nuances in his game where he then realised that actually that's not really the best way of playing.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's when I think you do see changes in people's results as well. I think you see people like the best way to put it, when I had that good year in Vegas, I'd done an interview with Bluff magazine, and I said, they asked me a similar question, and I said, I think the best way to put it, I said, is you kind of mature in a way, so you kind of lose a lot of the ego side of things. Well, I mean, I did definitely. A lot of people still, I think, do have a lot of ego in poker. But I mean, if you mature and you know, you realise like poker's not about that. You know, like I always say, it's like spots just do come up, and like you have to run well in them spots. Yeah. Like it's not just about thinking, I'm going to bust now or I'm going to win the tournament. You know, that's a really bad mentality to have, because poker, as we've said all night, is like that grind. You know, you've got to find different levels of when you should put aggression on, when you've got to grind it out. You know, and that's when I think you do get a making of a really good player, when they find that balance.
Yeah, was there a point in your career where you kind of went, you kind of that tipping point where you're all of a sudden, okay, I really get this now, or did you always have? Because you said you've always wanted to play, so have you just always kind of understood that, or was there a particular point where you went, oh no, okay, I really, that's what's turned my game now to a different level?
Yeah, I would say the year before my results, I finished 200th in the main event, and that for me was such a long grind. I mean, the best way to put it was, I remember busting, and I think I had a nice cash. And
how many days in would that have been then?
I busted on day 6.
Wow.
I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah, day 6. And I remember, as mad as it will sound, I remember actually, I think I went back with a short stack. I think I had like 12 bigs, something like that. And I busted, and I actually felt a little bit relieved to be knocked out, because it was such a mental, like it was, like I felt drained when I got knocked out. Like I was like, that was such, like you have to be so focused for them whole 7 days. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't really afford to make any mistakes. and I was actually like really tired towards the end, and that then made me realise, like, you know, what I could do better in them situations next time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the following year, I had a really good summer. So that was a key experience for me, running deep in the main event when I look back on it.
Yeah, so you finished 234th for $37,000.
Yeah.
And so 6 days with a poker for just under 4 times your buy-in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mentally and physically draining, I guess. Yeah.
I think if I was to be in that situation now, I would definitely do things differently. But at that time, I'd never experienced a tournament that long and that much focus going into it, that I do think, like, the end of day 5, maybe beginning day 6, like, I was just physically and mentally drained. Like, I played the whole summer, and then I went deep in that, and I was just, like, I was drained. Like, I really was drained. So then the following year, that I learned from that experience, and just went into tournaments a bit differently.
So interestingly, that 2013 it feels like another one of those kind of easily forgettable final tables. I'm just looking at the final table now and going, yeah, okay.
Who won that one, Lee? Can you remember?
Ryan Rees.
Oh, Ryan Rees. Yeah.
But it's just a kind of like, okay, yeah, just nothing.
Yeah.
Is it lost? I don't know if has the World Series lost a few of the characters, unless it's the real big names that are making deep runs? It's a lot of the time it's just it feels like it's another wins a poker tournament.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's strange. Maybe it's because we all grew up with.
Yeah, I mean the era of like when I was first time watching poker, so maybe like 10, 15 years ago. I mean, the characters was incredible. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I mean, no disrespect, but nowadays you just have, people, don't really say much and they tank every single hand, and I mean that's not much fun to watch on telly, really, is it? But yeah, I don't know. Definitely, like 10, 15 years ago, the characters were like brilliant in poker.
I think you still have a number of those characters. I mean, obviously, when you were playing poker locally, you will have had a lot of those local characters that made poker fun. Certainly, where I can only imagine where you play, and you must.
Yeah, the international was incredible. It was such a great environment. Like it really was. And I mean, when that shut down, I mean, everyone was like gutted. I mean, it was more like somewhere where everyone like to hang out, really. Do you know what I mean? I mean, there'd be some times where, some people wouldn't even go down there to play. They just go down there to, chill out, see everyone. Yeah. It was like a social club in a way. It was such a great place. And the thing about that was there was so many good players in there as well. So it really was, especially for London, it was such a great place.
Did you play in the gut shot before that, or was that just before your time? Just before your time.
My time. Yeah, just before my time. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the exact same scene.
Yeah, it was incredible. What I've heard. Yeah.
Absolutely right. Yeah, that's where I don't know if I ever told you the story, Lee, but that's where I tracked TK down for the first time when we were about 8 months before we launched APAT.
Oh, that was before the restraining order, yeah.
That was before the restraining order. That's where I eventually caught up with him and got him cornered into a space and made my pitch.
You want to do this APAT thing? Yeah,
absolutely.
You do want to do this APAT thing. Yeah.
I said, look, there's this thing you're going to do. I just need to explain to you how that's going to work out for you.
Yeah.
He was brilliant. No, he was absolutely magnificent.
He has told the story. Or certainly to me, face to face, he might have told, but also, it was of you tracking him down and convincing him to do this thing. It's quite an entertaining story.
I mean, obviously we'll always embellish a story where we can, but the reality was we were both quite busy, so it was always about trying to find a space, and I was happy to go wherever we needed to, and it just transpired that the gut shot was that place.
Nothing wrong with that.
No,
but you don't really have those kind of venues.
No, you don't. No. No, the independent
poker venues are just not really a thing, are they?
No.
I think it's a shame, really. I don't know whether that's just I don't know whether that's legislation that's just meant it's gone that way, or it's become tougher to make a profit out of these things. I'm not sure.
I'm disappointed to say I live probably within half a mile of Big Slick in Purley, and I haven't honestly been in there for 2.5, 3 years maybe.
Yeah,
which is bad. That's bad.
Well, I think there's something about the kind of those places. It's like the old snooker halls and stuff, isn't it? It's got a nicer feel to it than the kind of the polished casinos that feel like it just feels I think a nicer place, a nicer environment.
Yeah, just more relaxed, chilled out, and
yeah. So Steve 40's asked a question. He says, "How much time does Danny spend on studying his game?" Well, I don't know whether the last couple of years whether you've done much of that, but kind of when you were playing before then.
Yeah, pretty much when I was playing full time, pretty much every day, basically. I'd watch a few training videos, go over a few hands and whatnot. But I definitely every day I played, I would study after. Even if it was just to wind down in bed, I'd just watch something on Run It Once or something, just to chill out and maybe just get a few new ideas or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, if you're playing full time and you're playing a lot, you do need to be looking at what's going on, really, because you could be doing stuff. I mean, it's important to look over things and be like, oh, did I really do that? You know what I mean? In game, you can do so many things where you're like, I must not even have been thinking when I was doing that. Do you know what I mean? And you look over it and you're like, right, I've seen that situation. You know better for next time. Do you know what I mean? Or what you should do in that spot, whether it's raise, fold, call, you know what I mean?
And if you don't go back and actually look at it for a second time, you will just
keep doing it.
Exactly.
Keep doing it. Yeah.
So guys,
I completely agree.
We've just over 12 minutes to a break, and assuming the tournament doesn't finish within the next 12 minutes, and I think that's pretty safe, we're going to put Danny into a greyhound race situation. As we did with Uncle Glenn last weekend. Uncle Glenn did pretty well, it has to be said.
I'll be funny, but I've heard if you could tip them actually in reality like that.
It'd be very nice, wouldn't it? It'd be very nice. So yeah, that is something to look forward to. And I think Danny might be a bit reticent.
Have you got involved? I mean, did you get involved with the kind of the racing, anything as much as Glenn does, or not really?
No, I mean, when we was a bit younger, we used to go to watch some of Glenn's dogs, but I mean, nothing. I mean, I don't follow it. I don't bet on it. I don't. It's never really. I don't really follow it, to be honest with you. I don't really know much about greyhounds or horses. It's never really.
Are you a sports guy though? Are you
I like football. Yeah, football. I do like football. Yeah. So it pretty much for me just poker and football, and occasionally when I was playing, I used to like watching the NBA as well. So, but more so now.
Okay, you got a team over there? Or?
Well, I liked Miami Heat when LeBron was there, but okay. I mean, I think it was just because I like LeBron, but I haven't followed it for about 2 or 3 years now. So
okay, I've just started watching the Netflix documentary, the Michael Jordan one, The Last Dance. So I'm about two episodes in or 3 episodes into that. I think it's just awesome. Absolutely superb.
Actually,
yeah.
Pretty good. Do you know what I did after I watched that series, Lee? I went to YouTube and I pulled up, one of the playoff games, the Bears against I can't remember who it was, but it was featured within the series, and just watched the entire game through. It's fantastic. Haven't watched the series.
I don't think. I mean, obviously, I kind of grew up with Jordan. Being. I don't think at the time you fully appreciated quite how much of a superstar was just the probably number one sports person in on the planet for a serious chunk of time. When you're there kind of in the late 80s, early 90s, I don't think you necessarily fully take that in, especially at that time where the coverage wouldn't have been in the UK, wouldn't have been anything like what it is now for the game. When you think of the likes of a LeBron or Steph Curry or something like that nowadays, it's absolute worldwide and on everything. Whereas back then, it was quite groundbreaking where they got him. It's just, you know. Well, I didn't realise also how he was kind of like only, is it third pick, I think it was, on the draft or something like that. So it wasn't even kind of first pick on the draft, and they were quite lucky the way it worked out that they ended up getting him, which is interesting.
Incredible head on his shoulders as well. I mean, an incredible leader.
Yeah, yeah, phenomenal. And you don't, they don't come around very often. But I mean, LeBron James has been, I don't say unlucky, but I don't know whether he's quite been with the right team at the right time, has he really?
Yeah.
And we're going to lose Jake.
Oh, that's a bit. That was a bit unfortunate. Raised it up to 120,000 from the small blind. Jeff had a little bit of a ponder.
Jeff ended up straighting.
Yeah, and Jeff hit his straight. So so we're down to 6 players now, so 2 tables of 3. And Jeff's got a really comfy chip lead now. He's got twice the amount of chips of anybody else. Paul Harris sat opposite him, is currently second in chips. Difficult spot for Jeff here because he's got his teammate to his left. Not that it necessarily means much in this game because you're all playing to try and score as many points as you can in the tournament. So it shouldn't really affect anything too much. But he's probably not going to want to try and bust his teammate necessarily. If they can both score very well. Jeff's part of the Eat My Stack team, of the only team to win this twice. They've done back-to-backs a couple of weeks ago. So X says, because he was 2 years younger in the draft.
Right.
So that's the reason why. So hi to you, James. Hope you are well.
Mr. Eccles,
lurking quietly in the background of the stream. Didn't even realise he was there.
Yes, he wasn't. Even
Rob said, wasn't even in his final year at UNC. So yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting to see so I'm fascinated with the kind of politics side of it, of the team politics of how it goes about the management. The American sports, the management of the American sports is just insane, isn't it?
I mean, he was the real, the sort of the quiet hero, anti-hero of the show, the general manager, Jerry.
Yeah.
Jesus, man, what a strong character for such a man of small stature, shall we say.
It's quite amusing when he's there. He's like chatting to Scottie Pippen, and you're kind of literally looking up to him.
Literally looking up, and of course, it's hard to be anything other than small stature when you're dealing with 9-foot basketball players. But what a strong character.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to get into the horrible little situation on this tournament every Thursday night in a minute, where we're going to get to hand for hand for the final table, and we're going to go to effectively 2-handed versus on the one table and a 3-handed on the other, which is just a little bit weird, but that's the way
that's how they do it.
That's the way they do it, unfortunately. So obviously when it's 3-handed, you're even more just needing to apply pressure. I mean, Jeff here can just go to town, really.
He's just in the comfort zone. I mean, but he's also got Martin on his left, who's short stack, so he's going to be looking to take a spot soon.
I think so.
But he should just be opening pretty much every button now, and he can, people. You don't have to call Martin off light. Do you know what I mean? You can just keep opening. Yeah,
completely agree. So, do you think with the amount of, obviously you said you've been playing a bit more online lately, especially during lockdown. I mean, is it a case that we're kind of saturated with online poker at the moment? There just seems to be just this constant number of series, and
I know. I mean,
listening to the pros that are playing at the moment and grinding, they're absolutely knackered.
I mean, it's literally like when lockdown first happened, you noticed such a big. It was like going back 6-7 years, seeing all the prize pools were massive, but it's like literally, it's like if you've got people that want to play poker regularly, but necessarily don't want to play online, so they might go and play cash games midweek, tournaments at the weekend. They have no option now, rather than to play online. That's all that they can do, So that's what I think what was happening, that people just still wanted to play, but they're just forced solely to play online.
Yeah, I think it's a fair call. I mean, that entire live poker calendar moved online.
Completely gone, yeah.
And with an insane level of success, you know, we too saw a lot of, you know, players who hadn't played for quite some time come back. You know, absolutely amazing to see. And you know, it's been a big topic of conversation, sort of online amongst pros in particular in recent weeks, about, you know, possible burnout, cash burnout more than anything else. You know, with so many big events, you know, the likes of Scoop being extended, and you know,
it just kept getting extended. Didn't it?
It sure did, and it doesn't look to be any let up. I mean, you've got the World Poker Tour Online Championship, as we know, the World Series of Poker at GG. It's just like, you know, at some point,
Stars have got another, like a summer series or something.
I mean, at some point,
just thrown out there and just like, well, let's run some more.
At some point, unless you're making a good margin, the money's going to start running out for, you know, for players. Wow.
I mean, it just feels like it's someone at Stars at the moment just going, right, that Scoop was really good, right? Can someone just rebrand that up? Just use the same schedule and just but call it something different. And just
let's call it Poop.
Again, you know? Just put it back out there. I mean, and then of course once that finishes, you'll have. You know, you'll have W Coop, won't you? That'll be that'll then be out in is that September time? I want to say
September time, I think. Yeah.
So it is difficult. So how do you balance that off at home with obviously being a new dad and a family and everything? When there's all these amazing online things you could be playing, it's just keeping a balance, is it?
Yeah, just keeping a balance really, and just being more selective in what you play. I think it's the best thing to, instead of just playing every day everything that, you know, you could just sit here and just play so many tournaments, but you know, you just look at what's on this week and kind of pick out a few that you want to play. Because I mean, I don't really, like I said, I don't play huge volume no more. I just like handpick certain tournaments that I want to play and look at that.
So will you then look to try and go, okay, today's going to be a poker day, so you'll make sure you get value out of that whilst you're sat at the screen playing?
Yeah, but I mean, like, my partner's very supportive of me playing poker, and you know, when I want to play, there's not many issues. Sometimes there is, but not many.
That's good.
But distractions are at a minimum. Yeah,
that's. I mean, that is another thing that's so key as well. Like, it's so important, and it just when you do play, you know, you don't have like stress or whatnot. Do you know what I mean? And like I say, but on the other hand, you do also have to realise that, you know, you have other responsibilities other than poker. So that's what I mean. For me, in my life now, I just hand select stuff that I look at, want to play, and then I'll just play that basically.
Yeah. When you play online, are you are you sort of guy that listens to music, or you'll have a Netflix streaming in the background, or are you completely focused on the poker?
I used to listen to music all the time when I played, but now, nothing really. I'll just play, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, okay. I'll just play and just. I think definitely nowadays I get a bit more of enjoyment from playing, rather than not being forced to play, but just like having to play all the time.
Because you want, But will you still play? I mean, how many sort of tables will you have on the go at once now?
Nah, not anything huge. Like, recently at the maximum, like 3, and that'll just be like tournaments that I've wanted to play, you know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then like, but I mean, what I've been tending to doing is looking at tournaments that I've wanted to play, and then maybe like the day before and on that day playing cash for the day, just to play really, and just to
because I guess if you're I mean, a lot of the kind of pro online players, it's all about kind of maximising. Well, if you're sat at the screen, you know, you might as well be playing some poker. There's no point just having one table or 2 tables up. You might as well be, you know, maximising the time that you're at the screen, because actually time is precious, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, very, very much so. So how's it been with a youngster in lockdown? You know, I guess it's difficult because they can't understand maybe what's going on.
Yeah, they don't going on. I mean, it's been with a chat, and it's actually been like really nice to spend so much time like together, us 3. Do you know what I mean? Like, rather than like, you know, the partner being at work, or the baby at the childminders, or whatnot. Do you know what I mean? Just all of us together, and just spending all that time together has been really nice. On a positive from what's been going on around the world. So yeah, it's been nice.
Listen, Danny, you've now got a chance to put your family pride flag up, because we are in the break, and if you look at your monitor, your laptop, you will see a card from a virtual greyhound race. Okay, now I don't want to put any pressure on you, but Grandad Wally was a bookie legend, right?
That's correct.
In South London, a bookie legend.
That
Uncle Glenn, right? He owns legs and knuckles and tails of dogs and horses all over the place. Another legend, okay? So what we're looking at here is we've got 6 dogs in a race at London Stadium. You've got a win, a place, or a show. So a win is obviously across the line first. Place is top 2. Show is top 3. And the odds are appropriate. Okay, so obviously
you're sticking it all on a win here. Surely
we can't pressurize the man. Any win, Danny will tell you is better than anything else. Now, the little table on the right hand side shows you the last results of those dogs, their performance rating, and if you like, their favorite status.
Okay.
So, with all of that said, what do you like? Have a look.
I'm going to go for Trap 4.
Trap 4, that sounds familiar, Lee. Okay.
I was going to say it's the lambing Trap 4.
Trap 4. We're going for Trap 4. Are we going for the win, the place, or the show? You've got €1,000, right? It's Lee's expenses money for next month. So
lost it again.
Just bear that in mind.
Yeah, all in on the win.
All in on the win.
It's the only way to do it.
The really sad thing here is the odds are 2.89, so you can't beat Uncle Glenn if you make this bet. Now, that's not a reason not to make the bet. I'm sure it'd be super impressed if it came through. So we go Trap 4, the win. Okay, let's do this. €1,000 on the head. We're placing the bet. There's €2,900 coming back to us if we win. So come on, Trap 4. Are we ready, guys?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, here we go. For pride of family, Trap 4. And they're away, and Trap 4 goes straight to the back. Straight to the back. He's still at the back around the first corner. I think he's lugging a Christmas tree. He's just sort of trotting along at the back, Danny. I don't understand. I had such great hopes. He's not even in the picture. Oh, here he comes. Hold on.
It's 3 just ahead of 5 of 5. Now rallies. 2's right behind them, looking for room, but not getting any.
Coming with
just from 3
pace.
and 2 in a close finish.
He's coming with pace at the end, but I think he's finished 5th. He's finished.
No,
he's finished 5th. I think what we'll do is we'll delete this from the video tomorrow. Okay, we'll try and not let anybody in the lambing line know that this occurred. Okay.
All I'm imagining is Glenn's at home now shaking his head. Really, he wasn't paying attention all these years. I was explaining to him.
That is fantastic. Well played, Danny. It's all a good laugh, of course.
So Glenn just said in the chat box, stick to poker.
Yeah, I will do.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Right, so we've got 46 seconds left in the.
So I'm just making a mental note. Take Glenn to the greyhound racing. Danny,
Danny to stay at home.
Yeah, right. Okay, right. We've got that.
Do not take me.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. That's you favour a skill-based game, Danny. That's a good thing. It's a little bit of gambling required in the dogs, I'm sure.
Yeah. Good fun for a night out, though. That's
definitely.
God,
that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is for sure. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
So 5 left here, guys. Who do we fancy? Well, are we going with the chips?
Yeah, it's tough to look anything further than the chips. And I also know Jeff's got the ability, and he's run deep in a number of these over the last 9 weeks. So I think Jeff is my favourite at the moment.
Yeah.
Would have to be, but we've got to say once we lose one more player and we get down to this final table of 4, then we can we'll really be able to see what's going on.
Just a quick update for you guys. Number 4 has just crossed the line.
Yeah.
He's just across the line now, guys. He's panting a bit. They've put some silver foil around him.
Dear, oh dear.
Terrible.
See, I'd have gone for the. Let's say if it was me putting the bet, and I'd have gone for the 4 as well. So what do I know? Yeah.
We've done our money anyway.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Glenn didn't do that though. He didn't go for the favourite.
No, he didn't, did he? Actually,
He carefully analysed the data and came up with an alternative, better odds bet. The man is magic. He's probably got several rabbit's feet.
So this is just playing hand for hand here while we get to the final table, and I'm not seeing anyone. Although Jeff is raising, Paul is, I guess, in a little bit of a tricky situation because he's got two guys that are on the same team sat on the table with him. As I say, I don't think they're going to bust each other, and if Paul knows that, I guess there's a chance you could use it to your advantage.
Just changes the dynamic a little bit. Also.
It does a little bit, doesn't it? If you,
Yeah.
It's not often it kind of happens. It's actually very rare that you get teammates on the same table in a big tournament. But especially when you get down to four-handed tables, it does make a slight difference to be the case. And obviously, but Martin's raising into Jeff's big blind, which is
I'd be racing Martin's raises with any two. Every time.
I think if I was Paul here, I'd be probably going, okay, I can take advantage of this situation and make the most out of it.
Because honestly, this is resembling the Barcelona midfield of about 3 years ago right now. It's just it's just beautiful sort of horizontal passing, as it were.
Yes. Yeah. Paul needs to probably just say, okay, do you know what? I'm going to take a punt at trying to use this situation to my advantage.
Now, the dynamic is interesting for Jeff because, of course, he's gone from being a significant chip leader and he's still in great shape. But the pay table is individually based. So, if he chooses to not take on his teammate at some point, ultimately he's going to disadvantage his own chances of winning first place in the event.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, completely agree. It's ultimately we put some added value on for the team, and obviously it's the kudos of winning the team event. But really, there's enough money up top here that that's what you're looking to win. I mean, crikey, you win this tonight, and it's kind of 4 weeks worth of buy-ins for all of these tournaments.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's a significant win, which is if you're playing these, as a lot of these guys are doing, kind of recreationally for fun each night.
Oh, here we go.
We got a call. Oh, well, that's the
time
to
look at that.
Make the call. And the king on the ring.
There we go.
Gives him 2 pair. So Paul gets just the reward for showing the aggression there. And now what he really needs to do is now keep hammering Martin short stack. Don't give him a chance to get the chips back. He's really got to keep applying the pressure on him now. I think I'm probably repopping this and just for protection.
Yeah, you got to be careful because if you're holding absolute boulder dash, you don't want to double them either. Yeah, but it's you don't really. It's just difficult. You don't really want to get Martin back into the game. Yeah. Of course, the ace in the hole here is that if for example, just as an example, if Jeff was sitting with a couple of queens and he decided to fold to a Martin re-raise, then he's in all sorts of trouble with Party Poker's compliance team, and he's on his own in that scenario. So you can expect with marginal hands to be taking your team position into account, but if you've got a clear I must call type position and you choose not to, you are on your own.
Definitely.
No, we've always said that say collusion and full on kind of chip dumping, that kind of thing is a no-go, and if you get picked up for it, you get picked up for it. We understand that there will be an easing of your game if it's a teammate, fully understand that, but ultimately you need to be playing for the win in these. That's how they're designed.
And
I can't see how Jeff can't make the call here really, and he folds.
Just as Martin might be advantaged in having his teammate on the table here, Paul is advantaged in knowing that. So
exactly.
It's a to and fro situation here.
Yeah, and as Pete Wigglesworth just said, and now Jeff's donated chips have gone to Paul, so it doesn't really kind of always work out in the best way. Just looking over on the the other table, was a big hand that saw Johnny Shepherd double up through Aniran. So, but they are playing hand for hand at the moment for this final table, which is just a weird kind of way of they go about it. So let's see whether Martin decides to play into Paul here. He's going to fall. Paul, and Paul's getting a few walks as well along the way. Yeah, it's interesting. I think you've just got to kind of put your foot down here and go for this, and say, all right, I'll just. Obviously, he made a call previously with the pocket queens. I think he's probably just got to open his range up a little bit and say, well, actually, I'm just going to play a bit more.
Yeah, it's also if Martin doubles through Paul, then Paul now is like, I don't know. Paul, it's difficult situation because if Martin doubles now, then he goes to that 1.5 and Paul's under a mil, and then it completely changes again. So Paul won't be calling him too light, I don't think now.
Now he's got a reasonable stack of chips. Yeah, he's had his double up. But the trouble is that Jeff's not going to apply any pressure on Martin. So we could be here for quite a while.
We'll be here for a while.
Yeah, this rate. I've
just seen a post from Simon Lawler on Facebook. Must be running bad. Even my squad member calls my all in.
Oh dear. Oh really?
Unlucky Sai.
Wow. Yeah, we do get it. I mean, we've obviously run a number of team games over the years, and you do get the situation when when you bust a teammate, it tends to be not forgotten about for a very long time. So, yeah, it's a tricky one to say the least. So, who's a better player then? Is it you or Joe?
I mean, I don't ever. I mean, the thing is with poker as well is like I'm always like really honest with poker. Is like, some people can just run well when it matters. Like when it matters, things can just go in some people's favour, and other times it doesn't go in that person's favour. So I would never say someone's better than the other. I mean, we both, I know I'm really skilled at the game. So, but unfortunately, in the industry, people do look at results, So
it's such a results.
It is a results
thing, isn't it?
business.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, I'll give you an example. I mean, Joe 1 year was 44 left, something like that, in a 1500 World Series event. And, he got in a massive situation where he's got kings in pre against sevens for a big stack, and the man's just flopped to seven. So, all of a sudden, if you hold there like you're supposed to, you can go win that tournament for like 900 grand, and then all of a sudden he's got a bracelet, I don't. You know what I mean? It's like there's so many things in this game that are looked at, and unfortunately, the only thing people do look at is results. So.
Yeah, well, that's ultimately it's the way of keeping score, isn't it?
Exactly,
and whether that's right or not is another thing. I guess it's very difficult to kind of be able to say to people. It's like obviously it's like football. You've got Opta stats, and you can see all sorts of things about pass completion and all this kind of thing. You play all of your hands well, you're just not unlucky. Yeah, it's
true. Yeah, that's spot on.
Yeah, it's which is it'd be great if we could do that, but it's not really it's not really a done thing. Yeah,
exactly. What is the stream?
Yeah, I saw that, guys. Hopefully, we're back up and running. I can see cards playing on the stream, so we should be good.
Cool, that's right then.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
that's fine.
Bloody hating the internet tonight.
It's Thursday night. I'm not trying to think what everyone's doing on a Thursday night.
God, I know.
say, don't worry, you're not missing much. You're just watching them pass some chips around at the moment.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
But yeah, stacks are good.
Actually, we've got an all-in a call on the other table, and we're going to be on our final table because Johnny Shepherd has knocked out an iron with Queen 7 versus Queen Deuce. The board was 7 Jack Deuce. So they both hit flopped a pair, and so they got it all in. Another 7 on the turn. So we are going to be on a final table. So these three are going to be put out of their misery because Johnny Shepherd is going to join them with a big stack of chips. He's going to have just shy of 3 million chips when he joins this final table.
Wow,
nice.
And then we'll get going again. And I don't think Martin with the short stack is going to have it so it's easy once he joins this table.
No, too right.
This is about to get interesting four-handed.
I've got to win this flip, Lee, right?
Well, you've lost a few on the bounce.
Boo, there we go. There we go.
We'll
take that.
Even Des is on a winner and gets the final table to stay. So here we go then. So
Martin's
this is
in.
the final table then. So Johnny Shepherd 3 million. Straight away Martin is all in into Jeff's big blow. Well, he's not calling, is he? I can't imagine unless he's slow rolling him. No, he's not. That would be pretty brutal to say the least. So Johnny Shepherd chip leader just under 3 million. Jeff Talbot 2.7 million. Paul Harris with just shy 1.5, and Martin Hadfield makes up the final 4. Good luck to all of you.
Yeah, good luck.
So it'll be interesting. So we've not really been following much of Johnny's play, but he has got through that other table when we were playing from 8-handed out. So I'd like to think he's got some aggression. And actually, that hand which he bust an iron with was he only had middle pair. Got it all in with middle pair on the flop. So Jeff raising into Paul's big blind. So
decision,
his decision, isn't it? I guess is Paul's stack the sort of stack now where if he commits to that or calls that raise, he's kind of commits to the pot, really.
But it's also like Paul will probably be thinking now that he doesn't really want to bust before Martin because Martin's got a relatively less than him. So, I mean, I would imagine Paul's got a really strong hand here.
So Jeff's raised that under the gun. The fact that he's thinking, I always think the minute you start thinking about it for a little bit, that you know a fold is coming. I know he's called. Wow, he's called.
He needs a spade.
Oh, and he gets the spade. Wow, that is very unlucky for Paul.
Unlucky Paul.
Yeah, you can fully understand Jeff making the raise there with Ace-4 suited under the gun, four-handed. Ace-Queen shove is perfectly fine, and Jeff gets there with a spade draw. And,
good news for Martin, that was.
Oh yeah, another point, another bunch of points.
And more importantly, jump up the pace. So 4th place picked up.
What was that, Lee?
8-2 up top, and Johnny just sent. I still can't get used to these animations. It's just it's crazy.
Steve is going off in the chat box. Good luck, everyone, but not Jeff. Sick. Those EMS players are so sick.
Nothing like a bit of anti-railing, is there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
As long as it's good-natured banter, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's it.
So whilst we're watching, one thing I was going to ask there, because you had the World Series. You had a decent rail there on that final table. How does that impact on your game when you're playing in that final table? Are you able to
massively? Like,
is it a positive? It doesn't distract you?
No, I mean, I'll give you an example. I mean, I think it was, I would say about 45 minutes, possibly half hour before the end of day 2 in the 2.5K, and I remember my brother Sonny, Chaz, and Watsy come over to see how I was doing, and I literally folded my hand, got up, and I spoke to them because this hand went on for a little. I spoke to them for about 5 minutes, and it really boosts, like it just boosts you, like it just, you think like everyone wants you to do so well, so it kind of puts you in like, it just gives you an extra little bit of confidence and just more eager to win, really, you know. And I was very fortunate because when it did make the final table, you know, I've got my brother and my uncle among so many other people there. Like, they're my two family members, you know. So I'm looking at them and I'm like, you know, this is for us as well. Do you know what I mean? More than anything. So it really helped.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said that you making a final table is great. The next best thing is railing somebody close to you or friend or family, you know, doing it. It makes all the difference. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, for sure.
And they can get quite rowdy. Those World Series rails, yeah.
As the beers go down, definitely.
Yeah, I've been on a few, and certainly in recent years with the way they've got the setup now. Where it's like an amphitheatre, isn't it?
I mean, I think one of the funniest rails that we was on, I think it was when Barney Boatman won his bracelet. I mean, that there was so many people turned up for that one, and everyone was just cheering him on. It was really, really good final table round, that one was.
It is really weird. It does feel like when there's a Brit on the final table, that those final table rounds are just different than I think when it's any other country. It's really weird. The Americans kind of often look at it as if like, what's going on here?
Yeah. It's like a football match, really.
Yeah.
Very mental.
And of course, you did World Series rails back in the day, Des, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, we had that clip lined up for the Andy Black interview where I think I shouted at one point, I'm sat there on his rail at the final table in 2005, and he looks over and he just puts his fingers to his lips and goes shh. which was quite novel. So there's nothing like it. And I would imagine the Yanks are quite jealous of it, actually. I mean, it's fantastic.
Martin's doing well. He's surviving. He's playing quite well. Just hanging in, laddered up. He'll get his spot in a minute.
Yeah, interesting what he does here. So, I was going to say, I've got a feeling he might shove here.
Yeah.
It's just kind of right. He's going to get a call in Johnny. Jeff, now it's whether Jeff is going to get involved or just...
No,
I don't think so.
At some point, he's got to let his teammate go for it. King Jack versus King 10.
There you go. Heads up.
And we're heads up. Well played to Martin. Did very well to... From weave his way to third place. So we called it with Jeff as the chips early on, but obviously Johnny does start the final the heads up slight ahead, but they're straight away at it.
It could be done in a sec.
Wow, it's pretty much Queen 9 and deuces, right? Okay, this is what we're going to get, guys.
I am not expecting this to go on long. I have to say, this will be fast and furious. It looks like they've both come to play.
So I don't know. A few people are saying, "What problem with my mic tonight?" I'm not.
Well, you had a little bit of you went a little bit quiet there for no more than 10 seconds, and funnily enough,
I think it was just I was dozing off when we were three-handed on the table earlier.
Yeah, well, you doze off in the middle of a sentence, but Danny's sound has been perfect, and you're both coming in from the same location. So, but the internet has not been great tonight. But fine. No major issues. A little bit untidy at the start, but we'll get over that.
I'm in deepest, darkest Dorset, so it's who knows.
Yeah. You're not by the coast. I mean, you're practically in France, aren't you?
Well, I said it's been a funny old week. I said to Des the other day, how's the weekend? Well, today BT Open reached around to change one of the telegraph poles outside because it was rotting away. So that was no broadband for about 2 or 3 hours whilst they did that. So it's been a peculiar week.
So that mic that you've taken a mortgage out on, Lee?
Yeah.
It's a bad one, mate. If you could just go back to that thing that's attached to your headphones. Ooh, heavens.
Yeah, he's got a nice little lead now, Jeff.
Is this a case of carrying on to put just keep the controlled aggression on. But obviously it's a big pot building here now. I mean, Johnny's got under, and he's put him all in.
There you go.
And that's it. And we're there.
Oh, there we go. Well done, Jeff.
Wow, that was short.
It's too long.
Yeah, so Jeff finished his first, picked up $182. Well played to Johnny Shepherd. He's second with $131. They just went at it heads up there, didn't they, Danny? Pretty much. Yeah.
Wouldn't last long, didn't we?
Yeah. Didn't expect it to, I have to say.
It didn't.
Well, there we go, guys. I guess, it's only left for me to say a couple of things if I can. First of all, a big up to Danny. Absolutely fantastic tonight, Danny. It was a real pleasure having you on. You talked a whole lot of sense, and,
Very much.
Best of luck for the next year, so on, of your poker career, as it were. And hopefully at some point in the near future, we can get you back on, maybe take another go at that greyhound race, because frankly, that was not great tonight.
I'll have to do a bit of studying for that one.
Brilliant. That's Danny, everyone. And to you guys out there who joined us tonight, apologies for the internet problems. Not sure there's a huge amount we could do about that, but I hope it didn't interrupt your viewing too much. Outside of that, Lee and I are back on Saturday night. I think we have the lovely Rob Swindells with us, if I'm not mistaken.
We certainly do, yeah.
So very much looking forward to that. It will be party Saturday night, I am absolutely sure. Of course, there's a ton of action tomorrow night and indeed early on Saturday as well. So good luck if you choose to play some of those games. But that aside, from us, it's over and out for tonight, and we will see you on Saturday. So night, guys.
Cool. Night, all.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Danny.
See you later.